when he came out of prison, the first person I think he messaged was me, saying, you know, you've been chatting. He's the one that's asked for a documentary. I've gone on it. What's so bad about that?
Daniel Knight from SideKick, he was around Andrew Tate a lot before he became famous, when he was a kickboxer doing them brand deals. He done some documentaries which caused a little bit of friction, but he's got some interesting stories that we're going to get into in this video. So still today we see every so often the SideKick videos. You said about Andrew Tate. When did your relationship start with him? What was he like back then?
Well, to be honest, then when we sort of started talking, he was quite easy. He was like, just send me a pair of gloves. Yeah, and I'll give you 50 quid. I'll do you sort of a video. And I think at the time, you know, like he says, like he lived in Luton, he didn't have much money. And I think he was just hungry. And I think that's what gave him a lot of his success. But at the time, he was just anyone prepared to give him some sort of deal. He was happy to take it. And he was really easy to work with.
Because I am one of the best kickboxers in the world, arguably the best, especially in my own mind, I would personally say that I'm the best kickboxer ever. Anyway, SideKick sponsor me. So what they do is they send me money and they send me equipment. And when I'm fighting or when I'm training, etc., I use the equipment, I beat everyone up, and everyone thinks, wow, Andrew's amazing, so we need to try the same equipment. And on a serious note, the stuff is actually very good.
Explain to us back then how good he was and what his impact was in kickboxing.
Oh, I think he was up there. You know, he sort of beat most people that was in front of him, and I think he was a great fighter. And I think the difference is, you know, we talk about like the big names of the sport, like Tyson Fury, Usyk, but they don't fight that often. They want a year camp, you know, they want all these negotiations in place before they even take a fight. And I remember Andrew Tate, he took a fight in China on New Year's Day with 2 weeks' notice, you know, so he's dropped everything. And that, to me, is a fighter. Just doesn't matter where, when, just we're going and we're fighting. And I think that is the level of a fight, he was at. And his style, I mean, unless people know what they're looking for, his style, you know, even I would watch him his fights, but God, how did he just catch him with that? You know, he had a strange style to him, but it worked, you know. Yeah, sort of the Thai guys couldn't work out.
Yeah, we've seen what Tate said. He didn't make a lot of his money in kickboxing. Is there much money in the industry, and why is there not the same sort of influence as boxing's got in terms of the cash inflow?
I think because it's the characters, the personalities. I think boxing's always been considered as a gentleman's sport. I don't think, kickboxing, it's been around for a very long time, but I just don't think it's ever been mainstreamed. I don't think it probably ever will. I mean, we've had Glory that started people wanting to get signed to. We've now got one championship that's offering substantial amounts of money, but I don't think it will touch on kickboxing, you know, unless someone like a figure like Andrew Tate that's got, you know, a world, an audience, someone like that could probably start changing it around. But I don't know, I just think boxing's always probably been the most popular sport, combat sport, and it, you know, it's just an old gentleman's sport that's just, you know, with hands. It's just fisticuffs, isn't it? You know, it just, you can't go wrong with that.
So if Andrew Tate did come back, I think the main thing he will do, like you said, because of the money and the matchups, is boxing. How do you think he fares against Jake Paul or someone like that, the styles? Do you think he could come back at this age now, even with the cases he's got ongoing, and compete?
Yeah, I think he still trains. I mean, you can tell by his physique, he still sort of trains, and he still does. Obviously, you see a lot of body sparring. I've noticed. Obviously, I've never seen sort of head sparring. But Jake Paul, I mean, everyone laughed about him years ago, and I said, you know, this ain't just a YouTuber. This someone looks dedicated, and he's putting the graft in the gym. Yeah, his first few fights, maybe he was a little bit rusty, you know, and he weren't very polished off, but he's coming on, isn't he, really? You can't deny that. He's definitely coming on. So him versus Andrew Tate, him being more active, Tate not, it would make a good fight, definitely. You know, Tate never really had much experience in boxing. I know he's obviously always used his hands and quite easy transitions out boxing, but it could be a good fight.
You know what we should do, Jake? While you're next training, I know you're only 18 days away from a fight, but next time you're training and you want some sparring, fly to Romania and we'll spar and we'll film it and we'll decide if we want to release it or not afterwards. But I have no problem. We could have a sparring match anytime. That's easy,
let's
right?
Let's do it, guys.
I'm down for that, but we can't release it for free. That's like, it's like giving the people what they want for nothing. That's kind of crazy.
You know,
I think the main rivalry was him and Logan, but I think Tate said he thinks Logan's on steroids, so it wouldn't be fair.
You could say that about all of them, couldn't you, really, to be honest?
Yeah, on another subject. So obviously, Andrew Tate, he moves to Romania. He becomes worldwide famous. Obviously, he gets arrested. Many different outlets reached out to you. You've done a few pieces. What was some of the stuff you worked on in terms of like the media reaching out to you when he first got arrested, and what was they sort of approaching you for?
Well, I think at the time it was like, who is this guy? You know, and I think all these media outlets, they just want the next post that ranks, you know. And obviously, so Tate being a big name, was like, well, who's this guy? You know, and they was looking up anyone and anybody who could talk about him. And I was getting a lot of interaction because Tate's dad wrote a post about him, and I posted it in 2015 about Andrew Tate's life journey, about how he's born and stuff. And I just posted it. I didn't even realize, I forgot he was there. And all of a sudden, I started getting a lot of clicks, and people started connecting, you know, because obviously through the website blog. And yeah, I started, you know, I was sort of happy to talk about him. I've got nothing bad from my side to say, you know, what he didn't do other than we sponsored him, really. But at the time when I sponsored him, he brought in a lot of negativity there, because people who are in the sport, they either loved him or hate him.
As you know, my name is Andrew Tate. I am a kickboxing world champion, and I'm sponsored by SideKick. And SideKick pay me money to talk about how amazing SideKick is. But there's no point in talking about how amazing SideKick is unless you all know who I am. Because unless you know I'm amazing, my endorsement doesn't mean anything. So I've decided in this video that they're paying me to do, I'm going to talk about myself. This is a magazine with me on the front being amazing because I'm the best kickboxer in the world. This is a world title, and this means that I am the best kickboxer in the world. Now, because I'm so fucking cool, I actually have 2 world titles at 2 different weights. So while you're best in the world at nothing, you're not even the best in your town at anything, I'm the best in the world twice. This is a Range Rover Sport, and that is an Aston Martin V8 Vantage. SideKick.
And I don't think he really generated a lot of sales. Yeah, he got an audience like he does, but as a product point of view, was investing in him, but not really probably seeing a good return other than an engagement. And he was quite controlled with what he could and couldn't do for me. So I felt like, I don't know, trying to help the guy, but also at the same time I'm getting a bit restricted, and it's sort of, I don't know. And then obviously when it all blew up, I thought, well, there's a chance to actually get a bit of, an opportunity to blow up from it, you know.
What media outlets did you go on, and what documentaries was you in?
Well, the media, first of all, was like the Daily Star. They put something out, you know, and I got a bit of backlash from Tate's friends, but Tate was always all right, you know, it was just about over 50 quid. Yeah, it was like the Sun. It went on like that Daily Star, the Sun. I've been a lot of been Express. God, I couldn't even tell you now a lot of them. But then the main documentaries were Channel 4 and Sky. So they were 2 of the main sort of documentaries. But the Channel 4 one, Andrew Tate actually, you know, condemned it himself. He actually asked Channel 4 to do this documentary.
I think he just want to be famous. I think he just want to be rich.
6, 7, 8.
But I don't think he probably realised to what extent of how famous he would go, and then the complications that would bring.
But then, obviously, when I was speaking to the producers of it, they said, obviously, at the time, he got locked up and we needed content. And that's why it ended up spinning to quite a negative approach towards him. So, because obviously, he couldn't produce any more of the film for him.
Yeah, at the start of that documentary, you see he's actually in the episode. He's sitting in the car. He tells him to turn the cameras off. And then they must have completely just changed the direction of it.
Yeah, and I think they had no choice. I think because obviously there's a lot of funding going into it. He gets locked up, and then obviously that's why they spin it. It's a bit more of a negative thing. But yeah, like if you see my clip on it, I quite like it. It just talks about him wearing the psychic stuff, and you know, I think a part of it is how he started to build that character of how he became.
Yeah,
you know, like he was doing videos, and that's why I would love to work with someone like another Andrew Tate, because I think that it's fun to work with at the time. You know, he's doing things then that people are only just doing now. You know, like all these sort of like silly sort of videos and stuff. He was doing them then in back in 2012, 2016 when he was doing them for us.
Yeah, so you went on these documentaries, and initially it was going to be a positive thing. It got twisted a little bit. Did you get any uproar from Tate? Did he contact you?
No. You know, Tate has never messaged me anything negative ever. We've never had any clash or, the only time is obviously was that Daily Star article. When he came out of prison, the first person I think he messaged was me saying, you know, you've been chatting about me. You know, I probably 2 guesses who that was sort of saying that to him. But I'll explain what I said. And I suppose media, they look for headlines and they sort of twist a bit of stories. But I just wanted to get the SideKick brand out there. I'm not here to slag anyone off really, because there's not really, between me and Tate, there's nothing to say bad, negative about him.
It's kind of become public enemy number one in the UK a little bit. They've kind of framed it with the influence on school kids. Now he's actually got a trial here next year. With these kind of allegations in these cases, do you have any opinion on? He's not been found guilty of anything. Do you have any opinion on how the media treat him over in the government? Do you think it's a bit unfair?
Rape victims were failed under the previous government, and too few actually got to see the inside of a courtroom. Amongst those victims were the victims of Andrew Tate here in the UK, who suffered rape and other violence against them.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know what he's done, but I'm a little bit thinking about how the media sort of treat him, because, you know, it's the story go over a long time, but this story, you know, they put out this content, and a lot of it was before YouTube Shorts or these Reels or TikTok, and a lot of that content's been reused by other media outlets to try and blow up their channel to be controversial. You know, used that on TikTok and got billions of views, but it weren't actually Tate that's putting out the content. And yeah, they've used it and then saying how bad he is, but it's these platforms as well, saying it's getting into children's brains. But no one's stopping and going, actually, hold on a minute, why are we blaming Tate? You know, he's saying, yeah, okay, he's saying stupid things or whatever, but these medias are publishing it. YouTube, you know, TikTok, there's all allowing it. Until now, like, you can't post anything on TikTok apparently of Andrew Tate, but it's a bit too late now.
Completely,
you know, and then it's gone into schools, you know, let's not talk about this guy. Well, you're bringing him up, and then, you know what it is? It's just, I just think they've gone about it the wrong way, but it's easy just to blame Tate just because what his opinion.
Did you watch the Adolescent show?
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, it's a little bit silly, isn't it? You know, that's the average child, but I mean, Tate, a lot of things Tate does say is very good, very, you know, influential for children, but then I think a lot of things he does say about women I don't agree with, and I think that's probably the difference between the sort of lifestyle he's living to probably a normal man. And it's these sort of conversations that really need to be had rather than just shut Tate down, because you know, you get the other sort of spectrum of people, just, you know, like a Sam Smith, that it's just, you know, where do you draw the line with these sort of extreme people, you know? Yeah, I mean, deep down, we won't ever know what sort of Tate really believes in. And to be honest, we're all entitled to our own opinions, but the media trying to, you know, sort of shut him down, you know, because there's a lot of good you can take from him, you know. But yeah, and I think that's with anyone. If you put us all in it as a public figure, there's always things that we would all say that some people would agree and some would disagree, you know. And like all of them, like you have like Tommy Robinson, you know, he's just another one.
With the Channel 4 interview, what is the dynamic of that? You get approached, you go there. How much of it is included in what you say? Is a lot of it clipped? Was you in it as much as you thought?
Well, to be honest, I filmed probably for an hour and a half. I would have said sit down conversations, you know, it's like similar to this.
Yeah.
But I suppose my content for what I've done, I mean, they like a part of it because it was part of what Tate did in his early, days. Especially when he was a kickboxer, so it sort of gave an element of what he was like there. And I think he was a bit more tongue-in-cheek. So, we filmed for an hour and it broke it down to 2 minutes. But I think that could be with any sort of production, can't it?
Yeah. Looking back at Andrew Tate's kickboxing career, he won quite a few championships. Where does he rank overall in kickboxing legacy? How do you view him in the sport? Top 10, top 20? Is he in all-time rankings, if you're honest, or where would you say?
Well, that's a good question. I'd have to sit, work that one out, because I've never really thought about that. He's definitely up there at the time. I mean, in full contact kickboxing, absolutely. You don't really see much of that anymore. You know, that's the kicks above the waist and stuff. K1, I would definitely say. There's a lot of different fighters now. I mean, it's hard. We've had some great, so I don't know. He would be up there, but within maybe the top 20, maybe not necessarily top 10. But I'd have to try and sit down and work that out where I'd place him.
Talk us through some of the stories of these promos. So many of them have gone viral. You send him money. Was it off the back? Was there any plan between you and him, or was it just sort of off of what he thought to do with them?
Yeah, he would come up with generally the ideas, or we would talk about them together, and he'd say, "Look, do you know what? This will work." And I think it was that sort of concept of just like looking like you've got loads of money. I think he gave people a bit of the ump, and people reacted to it, and I think it showed it worked. You know, he always made out he was wealthy, you know, to the point he probably did, you know. So it's it sort of worked for him, that's for sure.
Tristan, he done a bit of not as much as his brother. Was there talent there, and what was his sort of? How did his kickboxing / fight career transcend compared to his brother?
Yeah, he trained at the same gym as him, and he done really well. I just don't think he was. Yeah, he was a great fighter, British. I think he won an international belt at some point, but he probably weren't as slick as Tate. I think that's probably the best way to do it. But yeah, I'm sure he probably knows that, and Andrew was the better fighter, I think, deep down. But yeah, Tate was a big old unit though as well. So yeah, I probably wouldn't want to fight with either one of them.
Because and I say that because there was potential talk of a tag team of Jake Paul and his brother Logan versus the Tates, and I think Logan Paul made a few comments that Tristan isn't worthy in the conversation. But
oh, come on. Yeah, that's it. Do you think everyone just says any old nonsense, don't they, really? Yeah. But the problem is they did all these fights they've been talking about, like, you know, Tate's fighting Pauls, but none of it ever materialises, does it? The fights that could probably happen.
An MMA fight between Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Tristan Tate, Andrew Tate.
Really, we're talking about Andrew here. Tristan's not really in this equation. That's like the light work. 10 mil for Andrew, 10 mil for Tristan, 10 mil for you, 10 mil for me.
But here's what they'll say. I don't need this for the money. You're going to have to slap $50 million for me even to get out of bed. But if you have money, then why is it about the money? What it shouldn't be about the money. It should be solely for entertainment and to figure out who's really about it. And we're telling you, we'll do it.
You know, it's who doesn't, they talk about it, but none of them really deep down they want it. I mean, Tate was the one that was hungry to fight Jake Paul, to teach him a boxing lesson. And now I think he would be the one that probably wouldn't want it. I don't know. It's just funny, isn't it, really?
The criminal aspect of things put a massive hold on anything that could have happened. I think Andrew Tate having so many legal situations in different countries to attend to makes it difficult to focus on an event. And obviously it's just been dragged out even more now. So yeah, and the money, it's down to money again with him, isn't it? I mean, let's face it, unless like tens of millions on the table, he's probably not going to entertain it, is he? So, you know, he's not going to be fighting for low level money. So, money was an aspect. If I had to put it to you that both brothers did have that matchup, somehow Andrew Tate was found not guilty, we got it on the table, who would you go with on a boxing aspect? Obviously, Logan's had the Mayweather fight. Jake Paul's got better at boxing. If you had to 2v2, who are you picking?
Oh, yeah, I think that's close. I really do think that's close. Because I think this, I think the Tate brothers, just from their experience, and I think what we see of them now is not really in a proper training camp. So I think if they got serious, I think they would, nail the Paul brothers, I think.
Is that boxing and MMA?
Yeah, they've both done a bit of MMA as well. So Tate's got that experience, and so is Tristan, I believe. So yeah, I think they would beat the Tates, beat the Paul brothers. Yeah, I think as soon as they get serious with it, that you'd see a different element of their training. I think the old Tates will be coming back, and they weren't going to want to lose to that, are they? Let's be honest. But the Pauls, they're young. They're sort of, they do look like dedicated and trained. I mean, even Logan Paul, I saw some of his WWE clips. It's quite fascinating, really, stuff he could do. So, I mean, if anyone, I wouldn't 100% bet on it, but it's, I'd definitely say probably Tate's the favourites.
What was the story that caused a bit of a riff? It was something to do about the £50. Was it just about you? Yeah. Was it you referring to how much you paid him for a sponsor, which was?
No, the £50 scenario, why me and Tate got a bit thinking about the Daily Star put out. Basically, I just said, this is how I said it, is, they said, is there any negative on Tate? And I said, the only thing I can really say is, me and Tate was meeting at a show, we were sitting on a block, and then next thing I'm sitting at the table, and he rolls in, he walks in, and he's got a grin on his face. He went, you knew I was coming along anyway, didn't you? I went, yeah. And I just said, he's basically just trying to hustle for an extra 50 quid. But then, I mean, I was sort of like, he was working for me at the time. I was paying him regularly. I suppose it's just a crafty way of getting an extra 50 quid, you know. That was basically it. Yeah, so basically, yeah, then obviously I think someone's got back to him and said, look, as soon as he's come out of prison, look, this has been published about you. But I think Tate's quite thick skin of what knows what's, yeah, I mean, he's quite happy. He could quite easily just ring me up and go, what was all that about? And I'll explain. And it was more of it's the kickboxing community, because all of us were all on Facebook getting together, you know, Tate's friends or my friends. One of them, I won't say his name, he took sad enough to delete me. You know, he's going, "Oh, you're on that documentary with Tate," and I'm like, "Yeah, but he's the one that even asked for the documentary. What are you talking about? You know, he's the one that's asked for a documentary. I've gone on it. What's so bad about that? Like, yeah."
The relationship with you and Tate, and what was like the setup? How long was you sponsoring him for in his kickboxing career?
Yeah, so I say it was around about end of 2011, beginning of 2012, and it went up until he went into Big Brother. I think that 2016. So it's quite a long time. You know, we was doing things just sort of as and when for quite a couple of years, and then it went on to like a full-time sponsorship where I'll pay him a set fee like every month, like a contract agreement.
So today he sent me a SideKick bag. So here's the shin guards, which I haven't spoken about yet, which I'm going to. And when I got them, I was complaining, said I had nowhere to put my stuff. So he sent me a SideKick bag. And he said, everything SideKick sends you, put in the bag. It's a good idea, really. So first you put the shin guard in. See that? SideKick also sends me lots of fucking money.
Yeah, back then, a lot of us, I weren't really following Tate. Do you remember, and can you break down what happened with Big Brother? Did you watch it when he was on it?
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? He just, I don't know, he just got kicked off, didn't he? You know, they sort of brought out that video. The Sun released that video of him hitting that woman, but she said it
was consensual.
You know, she was after the consensual. Yeah, she said it was consensual. So, yeah, I don't know what happened there. I'm sure the Tate brothers, yeah, because they lost out probably quite a lot of money. I'm sure they turned up at the Sun or the producers of the TV series. I'm sure they wanted paying for that, because, yeah, it's a funny one, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was the first glimpse into someone you sponsored. You seen him on Big Brother. Was you watching the show?
Yeah, I was actually. Yeah, it's quite surreal. You know, seeing someone you work with on sort of national TV, and I think that was the start of his fame. Really, it's a bit of a thing there, you know. But it's I was sponsored like Alex Reid, and that was quite a big deal as well. Like that was when he fought his comeback fight after splitting up with Katie Price, and seeing him walk out on Channel 5, that was a really big deal for me. You know, that was quite a big moment watching that.